metronome.
Jake.
Hello.
Ben.
We're
back. We just came back from national. Wait, what was the nationals? What was that?
It was
It was the Arnold.
International meet.
There you go.
Man, big meet.
Internationals.
It was.
I didn't, like I've been saying, I didn't realize like how hard powerlifting was until I did that meet. And I was like, I don't remember, but I think I took like, it was low. It was like 10th or like I don't remember. And I was like, wow.
At Raw Nationals?
No, at at the Arnold. And I think there were like 14 lifters in my
10th on Wilkes.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was
and it was just insane. Like, and I had like a very high force. Like, if you weren't in 500, you were just kind of out of it.
Yep.
But along with that, that meet with being there with some of the best female and male raw lifters, and both for some of the best equipped. Everyone was there that day and kind of saw the end result of like everyone's hard work and these kind of cheesy things we talk about, like hard work and do your programming and do your training. But there was a conversation we had over the weekend that is really the topic of this entire podcast. And Jake and I had a conversation with Matt Geary. And Matt, we just want you to know that this whole podcast is literally dedicated to your words in some way. I said something about making weight, right, Jake? What did I say?
Yeah, we were in the back, and I think you were getting ready to bench or something. Yeah, and you said something about making weight. To which he replied, he said, "Well, that's part of competing." And he went on. Matt went on to say, "Making weight is part of competing. Being on time is part of competing." And so, kind of just sparked an idea. It was almost immediate in my head, at least. It was like,
yeah,
man, that'd be a good topic to talk about.
He was so right.
Yeah,
like, and he's right, because it was my fault. Like, I missed my weigh-in time.
Yeah,
like, it was my fault. Like, I thought my hotel was closer. I thought it was 1 mile away. Like, and I said that up to the last minute, and then I texted. I was like, actually, no, it's like 15 miles. Like, I don't know how I messed that up. Like,
right.
Like, and he's right. Like, everything is part of competing, and so there's a part to competing that I think you see the elite do that versus the non-elite, and I see this frustration all the time. And I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do on paper. Like, my program is good. I have a good coach. I'm getting my sleep. I'm doing everything. Like, why am I not good? And it's a lot of self-sabotage in these things that Matt talked about.
Yeah.
It's a lot of holes where you can, I guess, fill in to some degree of the more, I wouldn't call it spastic kind of behavior that comes along with eliteness or something like that.
I don't know about that. What do you mean by spastic?
All right, so like for the last 3 weeks up until this contest, every night I had a dream that I messed something up.
Oh,
I would
see
be
what you're
like,
saying.
I would wake up and be like, fuck, I forgot I put my belt on the wrong notch. Like, because you see how I put my belt on, I count 6 notches to make sure, like, I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I make sure, and like in my dream I squatted and I went on like 5. And like I have like that's a nightmare for me.
Yeah.
Like, or like I forgot like my knee sleeves or something, and it's like 3 weeks of like, I mean, I'm not saying this is, you have to have nightmares about competing, but that's part of it, I think, that people don't see.
I think something that comes into my mind when you say that, as well as in the context of everything you already mentioned, is it speaks to your level of discomfort right now, since you're fairly new to at least competition. And what that means is you still have the nervousness of, don't forget to do this because you won't perform well. And I think that actually serves you very advantageously, because I do think something that you notice is there becomes a habitual, I've been here before, I've done well, I'm comfortable now. And that's leading a lot of people into trouble, not only in terms of people who were used to winning, who now, like, the comfort has turned to discomfort, and it's almost like, shit,
It's like Rome is burning.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like we got to get back to the drawing board, but I haven't been to the drawing board, and I haven't been panicked.
I don't know how to draw
board
anymore.
I don't even know where the key to the drawing board room is.
Exactly.
Anymore.
And I think that's one component. I think the other component is that it will bring a lot of these things back to the table, maybe for people who it hasn't had to be, because they've been able to do well just on pure athletic prowess. But that's the beauty of progression of powerlifting, is I say this all the time, but the short cliffs of it is that I remember, thinking years ago, man, imagine if, like, I know this isn't the best, these aren't the best athletes right now making our world team, like definitively the best athletes, because obviously a lot of them are in the NFL and things that are incentivized more. Imagine if this starts to get bigger and more pure athletes come into this, like what it's going to be like. It's going to change the landscape, and lo and behold, the landscape is becoming different every year. So the point is that I think it's great obviously for the spectator. I think it's great for powerlifting. I think it's great because I think greatness should rise to the top. However, I think it's interesting because what it now will separate is not only who's the best athlete from a pure physical performance perspective, but who is the best prepared in combination with the best physical characteristics. And it's getting to a point where literally, like, chipping a weight can change a placing, and a couple Wilks points can change top 5, where if you even make top 5.
It's coming down to every lift, and
it's only as it continues to progress.
Lift.
Exactly. Yeah. You basically have to be technically proficient. You have to be really strong. You have to, have everything in place. You have to make weight. You have to you have to train at that weight. The more external, uncontrolled variables that introduce, like, you can't just show up now and be like, yeah, I got this.
It wouldn't even be a good idea to show up. Like I know, like, when we compete, like, and I heard Jake say this, and it made me smile because I do the same thing. He was like, I just need to get there early. I need to see what's there. I need to know where I can go. Like, dude, like, I went early. Like, I wanted to see where, like, equipment check was. I want to see which bathroom I wanted to use. If there was a line, like, was there? I found a backup bathroom. Like, like, I did everything. Excuse me. I did everything in my power to be like, okay. Like, I even went up to the platform. I felt the carpet. Like, I felt every detail of that day. And I did, like, and I do a ground check up. Like, I literally lay out my equipment before I leave the house. Like, when you deadlift, what do you need? Deadlift shoes, socks, singlets. Like
literally get ready to deadlift.
Dude, it's like literally preparing my gun for war.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you're one, like Ben said, here's the hard part, is that not only are athletes coming in at an insane genetic level already of talent, they also are getting crazy technical, and they're working hard. And then if you're sloppy and you haven't trained at your weight, or you're sloppy and you don't, and you're like, you
need to, like, fix depth or something the day of the meet.
You're just not.
Be brutal.
You're just not. And so, I mean, sorry, Katie, but, like, I used her as an indicator of where I need to be for the next day. Like, I saw she got called.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna fucking bury these tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over preparedness, it's advantageous in powerlifting. It really is.
Is there any downfall, you think, to it? Like, being overly prepared, this is where the spastic word comes in, I think. Like, and you create too much anxiety, maybe? Like, have you ever had an example of that in any sport you guys have done?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you think of, like, the kicker, the NFL kicker, like, if at some point or like a golfer where, like, it's like, or I remember in baseball, like, you need to leave on a good hit, like a good contact hit where it felt right. Yeah, I think you can. It depends on the person's nerves, though. Like, obviously get to a point of where you feel prepared enough to where you're comfortable, but not to a point where it's like OCD preparedness, unless OCD preparedness is what your comfort level is.
You could start talking about like the Yerkes-Dodson graph, but that's more about like, I forget what they call it. That's like more just like mental stimulation, I think. But you could almost think about it the same thing. You know what I mean? Like the inverted U shape.
Oh yeah.
To where you have basically this point of optimal performance.
Yeah.
And then when you push past that, you start to sink. But before that, you're also not as good. So if you had like performance on the y-axis and then like preparedness on the x.
Yeah, and I think that would. I think the funny part is that it's all psychological. So for each person, it's going to be an adaptable graph. There was something that was on my mind, and I don't know. We'll have to move on. It'll come back.
Yeah, I was like kind of hearing this, and I'm thinking like, what are your needs? Because I won't name drop, but watching some of the best in the world in the warm-up room. I'll say one name, Keith McConaughey, because I like Keith. Keith needs nothing backstage. Keith sits there. Yeah. His people don't need to say anything to him. Maybe bring him some water. He makes his own attempts. Yep. And then you have like, I'll use myself. Like, I need 5 De Novo hoodies around me. Like, I need Ben every 10 minutes to let me know where I'm at. Like, I need to ask him about my warm up. Like, and then like I need to ask a million questions, and then when I get on the platform, I need to just give them all the control. Like, I'm just here so I won't get fined. Like, I'm here to lift, make all the decisions. Like, let's go.
I think, so that actually reminds me of what I was thinking of, is like, you need to satisfy in your mind, I've done everything that's in my power. Yeah. So I've taken care of those things. Now you take care of what your skills, whatever it is, and then it's like, I think it's a lot of components. There's obviously trust component to that, but with the original thing that you said, and I'm just going to reiterate it because I think it's so important, is you don't, like you said, you go out and you feel what the carpet feels like. You don't want your first time to be the time you're lifting when you're being judged. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's almost like saying, I remember when, like in bodybuilding, I'd put Dream Tan on before I'd even have to do it for the show.
I do my whole routine in my trunks over and over, just to make sure I know what these trunks
for me
feel like.
I would always pay for it. I always pay to get spray tanned.
Oh really? Yeah. Just to make sure that it was.
Because I'm like,
I couldn't do that.
I'm like, well, it depends, I guess, on who's doing it, but more often than not, it's like, okay, I know if I get there early, like get to the hotel, like the hosting hotel, like the day before, they can spray me at night and then touch me up in the morning, and then usually if they're really nice, they'll be backstage and they'll touch you up backstage. So it's like, for me, that's like, if I can pay that for them to do that, and then all I have to think about is going on stage, and I don't have to think about all that, like putting that on or doing any of that.
I would fly someone out to do it. I would always fly out Sam. I'm like, no, you need to do this.
Yeah. Well, so that's like your comfort, because he's
I need one of my boys with me.
Right.
Like that's how I roll. Like, I need someone who I'm like, you've seen the work. Like, let's not fuck this up.
You understand. Yeah.
I don't need somebody, but my gun broke. And you're just, like, I'd rather have my boy look me in the face like,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, than bronze tan person. Like,
they're usually quite nice.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I think
no, I got my own shit.
I think with particularly, and I don't mean to deviate, so we can go back to the original train of thought, but just something that entered my mind is like, I think particularly with making your own calls with attempts, because actually every time I competed I never had a handler, so I think it removes one variable from the plate that you shouldn't really have to worry about. Because think about it, like for the lifter, the best thing is to think about like mentally visualizing completing it, building, just like you said, like momentum, Jake, and every little moment, like wrapping your wrist, you do that right, you build momentum. And going through the visual process of thinking of lifting, not thinking about what am I going to do next? What am I going to do third? You know what I mean? It's almost like you're too far. It's like the guy when they throw a screen pass who's already started running before he caught the ball yet. You know what I mean?
I think that to like a large extent, that is the point of preparedness, or being prepared, and kind of before the meet thinking about all the things that go into the meet, so that day you can just lift, as opposed to thinking about all these other things. I'm gonna have a nerdy reference here. So I play like a lot of like online computer games, or used to, and in one there's a reference that's used, and it's kind of when you should stop playing. It's we say like you're tilted right now, like, and it kind of just means like you're overthinking, or you're like mad and aggravated, so like you need to stop playing. So I think the main thing is to do everything you can beforehand to make sure that you're not tilted.
I also think too, and I keep seeing this, and we do a pretty good job at this. Like, you need a tilted plan. So like we have a failure plan. So we have low attempts, like ready to go. And like so many people go and they're like, this is what we're gonna do. Like you need to have your failure plan in order.
That's
like,
true. If
shit starts going down the hill, like how can you salvage some of the day? And then there's nothing worse than like seeing someone bomb out, or seeing someone being stubborn on like, no, I told myself that I was gonna do 300 kilos. I'm gonna open here. And you just see them, you're like, and it's just like, God, you're not gonna move that. And so knowing like, okay, well, I could fail today, and if I fail, then we'll go low here and we'll creep up here, and pride gets put aside. So I think what I'm kind of struggling with here, because it's kind of automatic for me and us, because we're all naturally extremely observant. Like, how do you even know, okay, Reggie, for instance, I'll use Reggie. Reggie's one of our employees. I ripped my sock on my warm-up backstage, and he looked at me, and he looked fucking terrified. And I was like, damn. I was like, oh, I brought back a pair of socks. He was like mind blown that I thought about that. And I was like, you gotta think about everything. And so it's like, how does one get to the level of being able to think? Like, how, he literally said, I would have never even thought about that.
I was just about to kind of mention this. I think a lot of it comes just through experience. Like,
and those nightmares.
For some things, for those nightmares, being obsessive. Or you learn the hard way and you actually mess it up.
And then USAPL wouldn't even let you deadlift with that.
And then you got to learn the next time. So that's kind of like worst case scenario. But I was going to bring up... like, I don't know how to phrase it, but the fact that there are known knowns, there are known unknowns, and then there are unknown unknowns, things that you don't know. So for the unknown unknowns, like, those are probably going to end up being things that you learn the hard way, I guess.
But
I think through experience.
But I think those unknown unknowns, actually, this kind of just came to me. I think a way I've learned, at least, is by, like I said, being observant. Like, if I see someone on the side of the road and like their car smoking or something, like, I don't just pass and think, oh, that sucks. I'm like, okay, that's gonna happen to me one day. Like, let me just look and see what they did, so when my day comes, like, I know, like, I'm ready.
I saw this guy, I was driving home last night, and like I saw a car like pulled over, and then like a little bit down the road, I just see this guy, like, he's outside of his car, and he's like got his phone flashlight, and he's like trying to find something in the grass. I didn't know what it was, but all I thought about was like, I recently just got a new car, and I had like a really awesome flashlight in my old car, and I took it out and I moved it, and I haven't put it in my new car yet, and I was like, I need to put that flashlight in.
Like, you almost, like, you can get so protective of all variables that, like, man, I'm basically at the point now, if I do a meet, I need to check 2 bags. And like I even have a carry-on with like I carry on my singlet, I carry on my squat shoes, like because I can't get another pair if the airline loses that. Like everything needs to be so detailed. And I admit, like I think I got a lot of that from bodybuilding, from when your mind is like obsessively on that. And kind of like staying with LS this last meet, he does things that are just amazingly in contrast to me. Like his girl was coming in, she flew in at like 9:30. And I'm like getting like calming down, like getting my energy down to go to sleep soon. And like I purposely got a hotel that had like doors, so like Ben came in, I left the door open, and Les was like, all right, I'm gonna go pick her up. I'm like, it's 9:30. We compete tomorrow. Like, and I think like powerlifters are still mentally healthy, so they don't overthink their like spastic behavior like bodybuilders do. Like they're still healthy people for the most part. They're just like, and then they'll feel their mistake tomorrow. But bodybuilders are like, no, I'm just gonna wash my chicken breast off in the sink. Yeah, make sure like, and they're overly protective. So I don't know what's better, right? Because LS beat me, obviously he outperformed me. Like I don't know what's better.
I think again it goes back to whatever ends up working best for you. Like maybe LS, that for him, like being less anal and more relaxed helps him going into the next day. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is I think just like anything, there is a standardization to things, and I think to some degree you have to have whatever things get you in the place you need to be. However, there are, and like I said this to him in the warm-up room, is like dude, take off your sweatshirt, like warming up for squats, or like take off your sandals, like because those are little things that aren't going to help anybody, right? Even mentally, if you feel like they help you, every time you take that bar out is practice. And it's also every time you take that bar out is an opportunity to visualize how it's going to feel when you walk out on the platform, and
it gets better every time you touch it.
Exactly. It's just like saying, hey, let me shoot this one free throw with my arm behind my back. You're never going to be doing that out on the court, so
why are you doing that now?
Exactly. And a big part of powerlifting is specificity. So I think psychologically there's things, but I think in the aspect of physical movement and everything like that, I think it should be pretty highly standardized. And he impresses me with his ability to be social, especially the night before the meet. But
I had to put earplugs in and put Beats by Dre headphones on with the fucking nature sounds and the fucking Dao De Jing playing at the same time to go to, like, I needed to be fully relaxed. Like, and he just fucking laid down and was like, I was like, Jesus Christ, how do you do that? Like, I can't stop thinking. But I guess kind of what I'm realizing is like, it's almost like either have a Matt Gary in your corner, bringing it back to Matt, who will really kind of be like your mother the day of contest and just ream you to get these things right. Like I see how hard he is on his athletes, not in a mean way, but man, he speaks up, and he's just like,
he's like, on top of it.
You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this because we're gonna. And it's just like, yes, sir. Like, like he's not here to let me fuck up, and like that's admirable. And then you see some teams back there who are just kind of like arguing with one another, and I was like, that's not good. Like,
that's not the time. To argue,
to be arguing, like right here, right now. So it's I don't know if it's just powerlifting necessarily, but I'd say that if you have a career that is not I guess that's pretty, it needs some type of precision, or anything you do in daily, or even driving, like you have to be, what do they call it, of defensive driving.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like. Like,
Right.
I'm not sure if that variable applies to me, but I need to kind of be. I have to have an insurance policy out on it, just in case that thing does come my way. You know?
I think that speaks to exactly what we said, though, is of standardization of process, because think about what leads to the tension to be in an argument back, like in the warm-up room. It means that lifter didn't perform how he wanted, handler or coach didn't perform ahead of time, and both are now hitting the apex of frustration. Whereas like the apex of frustration should have been before or after. Like, that's not the moment, because even if a lift is missed, you need to be, both athlete needs to understand and have faith that the plan will, like, there will be, the other person has already thought of a resolution or the game plan. And I think, you know, the handler needs to almost, like, as soon as it happens, be like, okay, here's what we're going to do in response to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really have anything more on that, but I was gonna, unless you did.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to sound biased, but like, really think about someone who's handling you. Like, would you think of all? Let's say you've done 16 weeks to peak for this meet. Would you put that final day in the hands of just, like, you really have to put it in the hands of, and like, you can do it Keith style, right? You can just have say, hey, just be there to make sure you give me my water when I'm ready, or just.
But what if Keith was only winning by 1 pound? He's probably going to want somebody back there who does more than that.
Exactly, which doesn't happen much in his class.
Right.
So like we said, your opening statement kind of was like, you don't need to be as strict when you're kind of killing by a large margin, but as it gets tighter and these new guys are coming out of the woodworks, like, I realize what I am in a 93. He's like, I'm a dude, like, I beat Dave Ricks. Like, man, he's never even heard, he didn't even know who I was.
Yeah.
Like, he never heard of me till that day. Yep. And like, I realize, like, that's gonna happen to me one day too, you know? And so it's like, these young bucks are gonna come with some new, dude, Dave Ricks has never heard of DUP. Like, dude, we came out of nowhere with that. Like, he doesn't even know what's going on. Like, and I just don't ever want that variable to happen to me.
Sure.
Like, I just don't want to be so like, well, this is what I've always done. This is what
it's just swept.
Yeah.
And I want to see those new variables coming. Like, what are these? There's going to be some new de novo nutrition in 10 years. And
Absolutely.
Those kids are going to be bad motherfuckers. Like, and I'm just going to be like, go ahead, man. Like, I was there. Like, I'm going to see them and I'm going to be like, go ahead. We'll be probably, I don't know. but yeah, I think, man, I can't speak enough for variables. Like, forecasting what the market's going to do, forecasting how the trends are changing. Like, it's almost impossible. I feel like, I'm sorry, I got no advice for this. I always have some type of like advice, but I really don't even know what to say. Like,
I think one thing I would say is that's the last time you want a yes man. So actually,
yeah, very true.
In opposition to thinking of Matt, you know, the analogy of Matt as mom, he's actually not, because mom is going to be there to, you know, put the Band-Aid on your wound and make you feel better.
My mom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah. Which, exactly, could be different for every person's individual scenario. But, you want somebody who is going to be able to be blunt with you and say, okay, this is what you wanted. Well, today, this is what's here. This is what we're doing. And that you can trust that actually has your best interest in mind, isn't trying to sabotage it. And I think that can be difficult, especially, man, if you're just getting into it and you have people who either don't powerlift or aren't available. Man, that can be tough, because then you're just going to have your friend back there with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you got to be willing, like Jake said, to know that you're going to go into that meet and get experience, but that's going to help you next time.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I've always had great meets, but every meet I leave with this, man, all right, and I say it to you a million times. I'm like, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get, and then I get it, and then something new happens from the experience, and I'm just like, fuck, how did I lock my knees out first? Like, how did I do that?
Yeah.
Like, who does that? Like, and it's just killing me. And so then I'm gonna go to this next meet, I'm gonna do well, and then something new is gonna happen. And I think, like Jake said, like so many of these variables you learn from frustration. Now, the thing to be careful with is that you can have an overabundance of variables coming at the same time from a bad day.
Yeah.
And instead of just saying like,
you wouldn't even be able to tease out what it was.
yeah, and because you're just having such a shit day, you're just like, well, everything was bad and blah 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 blah, and I learned nothing, and I'm frustrated. You know, like, well, at least I sounded like Jake. Well, at least say, all right, let's say you had a terrible day, bombed out. Okay, so like Jake says, I should just let Jake do the talking. Where did my momentum stop flowing?
Yeah.
Did you eat? Did you make weight?
Yeah.
Did you like where was your cutoff point? So like, what do they call it? Like detectives call it, like searching, backtracking clues, or like backtrack your clues or something, like or the evidence or something like that. Like, when did things start going shit? So like our friends, I'll use them for example. John Downing, he recently bombed out at this last meet, and Jason Tremblay is his coach. Now, this is not to try to publicly knock them, but it's actually good because they learned a great lesson from this, and it was reflective and it was good. Like Jason said, I saw his last warm-up was too aggressive and it wasn't good enough, and I wanted to go change it, but it was too late. Like, lesson learned. Like, they learned their lesson, you know what I mean? So it, like, they bombed out, but he's now learned something about his athlete, like, forever, that he'll never forget. Like, it sucks that it had to happen on Arnold, sure, but he learned
there will be more
a shitty experience if anything. So
I think the only thing I'd say is it really helps to know the person, and I'll explain why this isn't redundant of things we've already said. I really think it does help to know the person that is there with you, because it's almost like looking at someone who's going to be investing your money in stocks with you. Like, I think it helps to have somebody to try to match, or at least have a mutual understanding of one another, to where they're trying to maximize your return. And the best example I can use, a specific example, is just like you said with your deadlift. Like, there are times I will get aggressive, probably more aggressive than other people would be who are conservative. I could have put in something that was lower and ensured you got 9 for 9, but considering the context, like, the placings were already basically set. I knew you were strength-wise capable, but the higher and more aggressive you go, the more you insert the possibility or probability.
But I would have learned that later or at some point.
So it's like each individual personality will make a different decision at that point. Person A might say, no, 9 for 9 no matter what. I said, I think it's appropriate to get aggressive now. Or you could have person, C or D or whatever, who's just there to, just emotionally get you excited. But I don't know. I guess it depends.
It
right?
really does depend on the person, I think. And I remember after I missed that last deadlift, I went 8 for 9 at the last meet. I remember I even said to Ben, I was like, good call. Like, I missed it, but I still really meant it. I was like, no, like, that was a good call. That was actually a good call. Like, I'm glad I missed it, because now I know, and now I'll learn. But so much of these variables, I think, come down to which ones are automatic for you, and which ones, like, for me, like, I would say, so, like, you know this of me, like, I don't know why, like, actually, like, executing my lifts and doing well the day of, like, I've never had an issue with that. Like, I just always, so that's a variable for me I don't need to really think of. But, like, something stupid, like making sure I get my warm-ups. It's not stupid, but I need to recover for like 20 minutes before I lift.
Yep.
So like I have to make sure my warm-up timing is like on the like really 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 ahead of schedule.
Yep.
And so it's like I guess variables are weighted to the individual, you know, like what matters to what person, like knowing yourself, knowing like no like I need to take like 4 shits before I squat, or I need to like you really need to know, like don't even put your singlet on if you need to take 5 shits.
So we've talked about like gaining experience through like doing the actual meet itself, and like obviously you learn that way, and we've talked about specificity. Everybody talks about specificity in training and things like that, but I think we're almost reaching an era of like a whole nother step of like specificity, and it's like how well, like if you know you're going into a meet, like how well can you replicate like meet conditions. And so like tomorrow I have a meet, not tomorrow, which is Sunday, but the next Sunday. But tomorrow I'm going to literally wake up and I'm going to do my whole day.
Do a 2-hour weigh-in.
Yeah, like I'm going to wake up like when I would normally wake up, kind of moderate my weight until like I would actually weigh in at that time. And then I'm going to eat the same things that I'm planning on eating. And then yeah. Actually, no, I cannot train off those at all.
Oh, wow.
It's like the worst thing ever.
Wow.
Basically, like it feels like.
Do you like you ate a cookie?
It feels like all of the like water in my body goes into my stomach.
Wow.
And I'm like flat, and I can't drink any water, but I'm full. Like my stomach is full, but my muscles are flat. It's awful. So I love Lenny's and Larry's, but I don't want to eat them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to eat what I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to go through like the whole meet basically at the gym with a singlet on, and I'm going to basically do all my seconds, at least for me.
Time you go?
I'll probably get there around noon. I think like for the meet, we're going to start lifting around like 1 or something.
Is it really that late?
Yeah.
I thought the 93s lifted that late. Oh no, because you're towards the back.
Yeah, they don't start lifting until like 5:30. I mean,
Jesus fucking Christ. And what's ironic is that I told Jake, let me know what day you're going there to do this, and I said I'll be there. Why? Because I will be there at his competition. Like I want to see how it moves this week. So when I'm looking at him in his face, I'm like, I saw you a week ago. Like I know, like you have another set of eyes here. Because if I were there and I was just like, I don't fucking know. Good luck.
Looks good.
Like I want to see his last lifts before we're there, you know, and I can at least like give an extra eye. So like, it's weird because your variable, like we said earlier, is having good friends that know that you need these variables. Like you didn't even have to ask me. Like right, I just knew like no he'll need this. Like like he'll be fine for his first 2, but his third he's gonna look at us and be like, okay. Like I know you can call your first 2, but the third you'll be like, how'd it look?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so like it's weird because I keep asking you like what squat stance you're gonna use. Like, because I know which one you can grind through, which one you fucking can't. Like,
dude, regardless, like my third squat is gonna be like the slowest. It's gonna take forever.
Sloth.
Yeah,
it'll be as long as an R. Kelly song. Oh man. Yeah, I guess it's knowing the variables is kind of synonymous with like. And we had this question in our at our seminar, like how many variables can you control? And the reality is it's endless. If you want to look at it that way.
If you want to create them, yeah.
But I think you also have to ask like what impact
it's like prioritizing.
relative are those having per unit of mind capacity.
Yeah.
Like what is the return on this? Yeah. Dude, I remember I always take a shower the night before. Never the day of the contest.
Huh.
So I make sure my weight is like
Literally.
like I don't want to put on any lotion. Like, fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I made that up. It doesn't even help.
Flux points.
Yeah. I feel like we just told people something to worry about, less like gave them information. Like, make sure you worry about this, and good luck.
Kind of, but I mean, I think the key takeaway is to
think ahead,
replicate as much as you can in your training, at least the things that you will be doing in a meet, and just Ben said, just think ahead and prepare, so that you don't have to worry when it comes time to just lift weights.
The opportunity is that hopefully maybe they heard something they didn't think of, and they could learn through this, not having done it poorly at a meet.
I would if you're getting ready for a meet, I would literally think of everything that locks you into the next level. Like, for me, it's little things like I put my book bag on my back, let's walk. Like, I don't know if it depends on how detailed you want to get. Like, literally, I'd go through a checklist mentally, like, what do I do before I lift weights every day? And there's so many things that you don't think about that are just kind of there. Like, what water bottle are you going to bring? Like, what water are you going to have? Like, are you going to hopefully drink the random water? Do you drink bottled water? Like, and then there's so many little things that you just don't think about, and you kind of take for granted in your home. And it's like, if I were to transfer my home to this new environment, like, what would I do? And I guess the biggest variables that make the most impact, like Jake said, per brain space, I would definitely transfer those over and try to keep them with me. So when you see us smoking those numbers on the platform, no, it's not just squatting. It's did I get my rental car from this place? So what time is my flight? Can I wake up? Like, it's everything that goes into that one lift. So, sayonara's.
I got nothing else.
Yeah, nothing to add.
Thank you, Mike Gary.
Yeah, thanks.
If you do make the end. We'll see you in a few weeks, actually. We will talk to you all very soon. Thank you as always for listening.
Bye-bye.